My name's John, and this is the second session today for the Family Book Creator Q&A session. So it's basically whatever anyone has questions on. We're talking with Bernie. He was the first one in here. I think he's probably here before I was. It's talking about placing wedding photos after the family tree chart. So well, I've got my test tree open, so whoops.
So the context for the other members of the class is, I've been trying for 6 months where I have a relative that had two spouses, and maybe I have a picture of them having lunch together or something like that. And I've been trying to get that picture after the appropriate family chart.
Okay.
That's my brick wall with that. And so I've put the picture in a Word document and given it the what appropriate categories, and still no joy.
Okay, well, I'm gonna just take a standard, I'm gonna just take a photo.
Yeah.
And just attach it, to a couple how I normally would. And then let's see, and then I'll typically, if it's for a couple, I would attach it to both of them. So now, well, let's just see how this comes out here. Starting up. And now for this person, I created a fictitious second wife. I just call it second spouse. Yeah, just one generation. These over. This shouldn't take too terribly long. Okay. Let me get this fit to the width. Okay, so here's oh, why didn't that do the family tree chart? Oh, right. Yeah, because I don't have any parents or grandparents for these people. That's why there's no chart. So, okay. Okay, so what was this? Okay, so this is just the family. Okay, well, okay, it starts with his details because there are two wives. That's just him. Okay, then here he is, okay, with his first wife and their kids. Okay, then there's that photo I just added.
So let me ask a question or two.
Yeah.
That to get that photo, how did you had to put it in a document to get those categories assigned to it or not? Or did you just
I did not assign any categories to this one.
well, so just by having it attached to the people, it came out the appropriate family chart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it comes down into the family. It goes into the fam or the photo album area, which kind of comes after all the facts and the kids.
Okay.
And then here's the second spouse, and where there is no details, I just created fictitious. And I even spelled spouse wrong.
That's okay. Okay.
So, yeah, so if all you want to do is the photo, it's just that. Now,
Yeah.
one thing I have found, especially with second spouses, well, okay, well, here, let me just do a for instance. Let me just say let's just say that Bell thing, that's the house where the first couple lived. Let's go to the second one. Let me just correct the spelling on that. Let's just say well, okay, this is my brother. Let's just say this is their the second wedding photo.
Okay.
So let's just add that to this person, and let's add it to William Maccabee. So that was Kurt, right? Yeah, there it is. So I'm adding them just to the person. Okay, so now
No, you added it just to Wim, or did you add it to the second spouse? What did
I
you do?
I actually added it to both of them.
Okay, okay.
And,
Okay.
and I'll show you what we're gonna have to do for that. Because now let's just generate this book again.
Okay.
Yeah, I did close it. Otherwise, it's gonna. Now the photo with that second photo I just added. Now that's gonna come before the second wife is even mentioned.
Okay.
So let me just get this to fit the width. Yeah, so there's that. There's the kids. Okay, there's that. Oh no, this one. Okay, no, this one did come out with this one, married second spouse. So no, that did happen. So maybe that was a change. I mean, this is like 2 years ago, and so this might.
That's good.
Right.
That's the desired results I've been trying to get. So okay.
Yeah, so just add it just to the person. So
Okay.
so well, does anyone have some other questions, or I can just kind of go through some stuff and
I have a. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a broader question. I'm just getting started with this, and I have a large family tree, over 20,000 people. And if I understand this tool, if I pick myself, it builds the book based on my history, my ancestors. If I wanted to have the result be the ancestors of my wife and I, do I need to go to my child, one of my children, and do that? Or, how do I accomplish?
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, what you could do is let me just. I wonder if okay.
To
Let
further
me,
complicate it, both my children are married, and I'd like to actually do both of their spouses' families as well.
Well, you could do one of two things. One, you could create 2 books, one for each of them. You know, one, you know, for your, you know, your one child, his spouse, and then one for the other and his spouse. So basically create two separate books.
Okay,
So you could do that, or you can create what's called a hybrid book, where you basically, you still create two books, but then you'll piece in or merge the books together. In the file section, there's stuff, because like sometimes I've done like an ancestors and descendants of book, you know, where I'll start with both sets of my grandparents, and I'll do like their ancestors and then all their descendants. So this will kind of get some of the first and second cousins. And then I'll do the same thing on my mother's side, you know. And there's a video in the YouTube channel on exactly how I do that. And someone even created a write-up on it. Because I mean, Word does it sounds more complicated than it is, but it really isn't. Because the table of contents and the name and place indexes, they're all generated fields. So in the documents that it creates, you know, it says, okay, here's the table of contents entry, here's the name index entry, here's, you know, so all you gotta do is merge those two books and figure out where you want to place them together. And then the table of contents will regenerate along with the name and place index. But as far as to do, like, say, like, okay, from your parents, what you can do is, let me just go down here somewhat. What you can do is you can do an ancestors book, but then so instead of starting just with this couple, I'm going to do an ancestors book. But I can actually start from generation 1. So basically this will start with this person's parents. So that way it'll kind of skip your generation. And then likewise, you can do it, say, for your wife's, to do the ancestors, and then, you know, you can merge the books together, or just make two books, you know.
yeah,
You know, here's the firm, here's, you know, here's the Hall, here's the, well, Waller in my case, you know, and stuff. Because then, yeah, see, then this starts with William and Edna, and if you go into, let me exit. Yeah, so see, so it starts here with these people are the first ones. So, and in this example, I don't have Edna in it. This is just a so that's one way you can do it without having to start from your kids. Well, I mean, you would start from one of your kids, but then just tell it to start at generation 1 when you do the book.
I see.
And then that way that would get yours and your wife's family. So
Okay.
But then, yeah, like I said, if you do want to do one for the spouses and stuff,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
you know, when you do one book and you get all the details set the way you want, you know, it's to do the second book, it's almost not nearly as much effort, you know, because you kind of know the pitfalls and stuff, and you know what media you want, what size you want it, and so yeah, and with all these print on demand places, you know, it's like a lot of them, you know, like literally you can print just one book or two books, you know, you might create two books for yourself and then one for each of your kids, you know.
Sure.
So
Okay.
Yeah, and you could also do a relatives book if you want to kind of get all the cousins and stuff like that. And of course, that that wouldn't get the spouses' families, though. I mean, you'd still have to wind up doing like 2 books or something, but
Sure.
so um, so that would be my first thing to try. So,
Understood. Thank you.
yep. And David, you had a question, or?
Yes, I did. When you print out the, I printed out a book, and the information for the children shows up. But then when you go to that generation, there is the information again.
Yeah.
How do I just let it not do the information on where it lists them originally with the parents,
Right.
but when it goes to their generation,
Right.
that's where the
That's
information.
that's this section right here.
Wait a minute, that's
The
child first.
child with main section. This, you typically only want very minimal information. And definitely no notes. Because this child with list, this is how it displays the children when they're listed with their parents. And with the main section means, okay, they're also going to be elsewhere in the book with their own family.
Right.
So yeah, so you really only basically want minimal information. I mean, I got name, birth, death, and that's about it, you know.
Oh, okay. So if you let me back up here. So you'd click on the children list of that one.
Yeah, with main section, this first child one.
And right, and then go in here and only put
yeah, minimal information. I mean, you could have just the name if you want, or maybe name and birth or something. I've got like name, birth, death, and that is it.
Okay.
No notes. I exclude all notes. Because any child that will fall into this category is going to have their own section. Now, if you do have a child that, say, didn't marry, doesn't have kids, they will fall into this child no main section. So here I'm going to have all the details printed because they're only going to be listed with their parents. They're not going to have a family section of their own. Okay. So yeah, but yeah, the common stuff about stuff gets duplicated. It's like, yep, they forgot this section right here. So,
okay.
And if you want to know who gets the sections, that's on this items to include. It says create family sections for, and then, you know, it's individuals with children, or you could say children or spouse. If you'd say all individuals, then absolutely, let's see. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone will fall into this category when it lists the children, because every child is going to have their own section, in which case, when a child has their own section, they become the primary. So these rules apply on their family section. So,
okay.
So
gotcha.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. So, are there any other questions?
I have one, John. I'm Sandy Mackey.
Oh, hi, Sandy.
I am kind of like Dale. I'm new to this whole thing. I have written in Word a lot of documentation, and I've got, like him, 20,000 names.
Yeah.
So what I'm not understanding, and is there a way to transfer what I have already written about an individual over to this, or does this generate its own information? That's my first question. My second question is, if following Dale's question about doing, like a child, and I want to start with, say, my husband and I,
Yeah,
and then run back. My husband and I both cross over back in the 1600s with the same relative. We just
Yeah.
each come off of two daughters. I take
Yeah.
off of one daughter, he takes off of a different daughter, but then the grandfathers continue. And on my son-in-law's side, the same thing happens. We back into the 1600s, we again have a similar ancestor. So that's my question.
Well, okay, well, first off, Family Book Creator does take the information from your
The
from
tree.
your tree,
Right.
from the facts. And like I said, here you can choose which facts you want to display. Certain things like name, birth, death, and like marriage, they're kind of locked in because they're kind of like keystone facts. But I mean, as far as if you've got like a nice write-up for a story,
Right,
you can actually attach the Word document to the person,
okay,
and then it displays down after, by default, after the family tree chart. And that's done by assigning media categories. Let me just take let's see,
I'm just thinking because, especially where when you talk about a relative who is closer in, like a grandfather or father,
yeah,
there's stories about them that, I'd like to pass on to the other generations. Now, certainly when you get back into the 1600s, it's more, there's less information, shall I say,
right.
than when you really know somebody. So I'd like to add those
Yeah.
quirkiness to the story.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, if you got Word documents, you can add them directly.
Directly to the media section?
Yeah, because yeah, I just want to look at some just to make sure nothing confidential is in. Let's just say this is one of the stories of your ancestors.
Okay,
And it's just a Word document. Oh, I closed it. Okay. Yeah, this is my main tree. Yeah, see, I've got like 26,000 people.
mhm,
But yeah, so you can just add this Word document and then open up the media details. And then if I want that to print, all I have to do is add the custom media category, handle families, FBC, handle story as text.
okay, got it.
And then that will just treat it, and that will incorporate it, and it will add this document down into the family album area. Now, maybe if you don't want to get lost there or have to play around with the positioning, you can also tell it, maybe do this, say, right after the family chart or something.
Another way is to add the copy and paste the information into the person notes.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do that too. So there's.
Can you cut and paste it in so that you start with part of what the FBC has, and then you can interject, maybe several paragraphs of what you want, and then, and then you continue on with the FBC?
If you would want to do that, you would have to do that manually after Word, because it will insert the Word document in its entirety without anything in between.
Okay, but you can edit it once it's on the FBC?
Yeah, because you can just save it as straight as a Word document, and then you can rearrange stuff if you want.
Okay, Okay,
And it's not like Family Tree Maker, it doesn't use frames and stuff like that,
okay,
that virtually make it impossible to edit.
okay.
But yeah, it can save it just as Word, so. And then, yeah, then as far as like doing the combo things, you can, what was the second part of your question about?
The other question, it was that my husband and I share, if I cue it off, like you mentioned to Dale,
Oh, yeah,
my children, and then we cycle back to the same relative, or my son-in-law cycles back to a
Yeah.
different same relative. How does will FBC then say, okay, here's going down my husband's line, and yes, this continues, and here's going down my line, and here's this, or does it somehow meld them
Yeah.
together?
I'm trying to think here, because I don't know where it is, because I've got that in mind, where I've got some like 8th grade grandparents that are the same on different branches.
Exactly, same thing.
And I've
Mhm.
even got like a 9th set of grandparents that are actually also my 10th grade grandparents,
Mhm.
but I'm trying to think, well, here, let me,
And like you, I have one that is like my, let's just say my 8th. And then he's also like my 10th or something, it's like, one day I had to lay all these charts out on the floor in order to figure out, okay, what is going on with this guy? How am I related to the same guy? But that's what it is.
yeah, let me look in this book here. I'm, I gotta just. Let me just see how this goes. 7. I'm just trying to think if I remember who those ancestors are. Well, let's see. I know it was 9th and 10th. Well, no, wait. I'm starting this from them, so it's going to be actually up closer. Martha, who are they? Yeah, it's gotta be on Gladys's line, because that's the line that really goes back. Yeah, I wonder if it keeps, I might have to get back to you on that, because I'll have to find out exactly who those things are, and then plus for, when did I generate this one book? Because I know, yeah, June of last year, so. I'll have to get back to you on that, because it's like, I'm not exactly sure. I know it doesn't go into an endless loop, because 9th to 10th to back to 9th, or it's, and yeah, it's like I'm not seeing, and it may take care of it, because I'm not seeing some of the, in like these generations where these same names over and over, so.
Right. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I've been hesitant to start, to go ahead and sign on to this, because I don't know how it will automatically generate, for both of us.
Yeah, like I said, if you want to do it for both of it, you could start with like one of your kids, and then just tell it to start with generation 1.
Right, yeah, I got that. So that's a great idea. So I can do that,
Um,
but then I still end up with, at some point in time, now my husband and I come back, and then is it going to, on his side, say, okay, here's, continue his side, and then here's mine continue, so we're really duplicating John Smith on both of us?
yeah,
But
Or
it's two
does it
different
just
books.
kind of go back and go this way?
But
yeah,
if it's two different books, it's just
Well,
the
no,
same
not
information.
necessarily. If I start with my child, like you suggested, Dale, then it's my husband and I. And then we
Yeah.
go back, and so we're okay, we're go okay, and then and
Yeah,
then
okay, yeah.
yeah, it's, I'm just, I'm gonna just check the change log, change history on the family book creator. Um,
I just hate to put it all, like say, okay,
oh,
go.
yes.
And then it's like, oh no, now what do I do?
Were those first cousins that crossed over on that, your family tree there?
It was no, I mean, we're so far back, we're into the 1600s, settling in Long Island. And this one fellow who was one of the original settlers of Long Island had many sons and daughters. It's just my husband came off of one daughter and I come off of another daughter. So it's many, it's like John was saying, we're like 9th or 10th cousins way back when. And then I had a similar situation with when I was doing my son-in-law's to Newburyport, Massachusetts, same thing. We both share a similar relative back into the 1635.
yeah,
So-
actually, yeah, checking on the change history, yeah, because there was a thing where, yeah, it will insert a phrase, this family is duplicated because of common ancestors. Then you'll see reference on page, wherever, so. Yeah, so that was something, yeah, he recently added, so, well,
So
oh yeah,
then,
that's of this year, so that's why, yeah.
so then, is that saying that it would continue on one person and it would just say on the other person to go see the
Yeah,
other persons?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Can I take a copy of that? Do you mind?
Of this?
Yeah, I just want to take a picture of that.
Oh, you can actually just go to Family Book Creator website
Okay. Yep.
and it's under support and change history.
Perfect. Good. And that was
Yeah.
May, I think, May of this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, so, and that's, yeah, so that was, yeah, in
Okay.
May of, so, yeah.
Okay, great. Super. Thank you.
It's the FBC, yeah, it's like, I remember there was something on it, but yeah, that's why it's like, I like it, just look and just see stuff and, a little stuff that's like, sometimes, yeah, they're little bug fixes and sometimes, but they've actually changed stuff and, so I do kind of like going in there and just looking and seeing what's changed and, yeah, and if anyone hasn't downloaded the user's guide, definitely download it, because you just go to, whether you're the Windows or Mac. I'm assuming everyone here is using the 2019, because it only applies to it, but download this user's guide. And then let's
Is
see.
that user guide updated from the previous one?
Well, it was, well, here is updated last year. So I mean,
The last year's is still good.
yeah, July 14th, 2022. So, yeah, so it's a year old. So yeah, you can always look at that version date. And if you aren't sure which one you've got, because let me just pull it up here. when you pull it up, you know, right here, it says second page revision, that tells you the date. So if that date there matches that date there, then you know, you've got the current. But yeah, the big thing down here is like on the appendix. If nothing else, print out these 2 pages. Because this explains all the custom media categories. And then the page to go to that explains it more. And then the custom fact types. So, and if you're a fan of using Lulu, or if you have used Lulu, whoops, I'm gonna stop the share. That print file, oh, let me turn off the blur. Whoops. That is a print ready to print out. You just have to kind of design the cover. So I actually went and just had it. And this is just the user's guide, but you know, it's print ready, you know. You didn't have to adjust margins or anything. So, and I think it was like I don't know, $10 to get it printed. So okay, Anne said, can you point me to an initial setup advisory for Family Tree Maker to Family Book Creator? I recall there is a file, but I cannot figure out where and how to attach it. I have a family history of 150 pages in Word and looking to combine with Family Tree Maker generations. If you miss me, I'm okay. And Elizabeth Wilder. Okay. I'm not sure about the initial file, but hang on here. But let me go to Facebook. But probably, usually, here's the Family Book Creators group. In the files section here, oh, is there a search? Search for FBC. No, that doesn't work like that. But there are settings files. Yeah, here's some setting files like that Rebecca Shamblin did on her books. We've got some videos where she talked about how she created her first book. That's her settings file. I've got settings files. Let's see, we gotta scroll down here. Descendants. Oh yeah, here's James Klaus's ones, FBC settings. Yeah, here's mine, John F settings. These are kind of standard settings files. And then to use them, once you download them and save them, then all you have to do is load them. Now this will overwrite any of your current settings. So I'd maybe recommend just saving them first, just to be on the safe side. Because you go under preferences and then you can say load settings. You can also save your settings first. Now, any settings here with like BCS. Now these are like carryovers from 2017. Those will not overwrite the those will just change these settings. They won't overwrite the title, colophon, dedication, forward, introduction. If you look at some of these that are, let's see here, you know, like this Van Brickle, this Rebecca with the FBCS, that's the newer 2019 format. those will overwrite the title page, colophone dedication, you know, so just to be aware of that. And if you want, you can save these ahead of time. You know, this is for my Waller. That's the Waller farm in Norway. And it's spelled with a V, but it's pronounced with a W. You can save that ahead of time, or you can load them directly, because these are just Word pages that it can load in for each of these. So just be aware. And then, let me just get back to the chat here. You know, and like I said, if you got 150 pages in Word, like I said, you can add that as a document. But then that's going to be like 150 continuous pages in your document. So you may consider splitting that up to the relevant people. But certainly you can do all 150 pages, or if you want it, I mean, you could load that all in, you know, maybe this forward or something, you know. You could do that. I mean, I guess it all depends upon what's in that 150 pages. So hope that answered your question. There's a variety of ways, because like I said, attach it, you know, like I did this one, and attach those categories. And attach, oh, I guess I didn't say that. You need at least that thing if you want FBC to directly pull in the Word document. And then you can, or not, sorry, not as image, as text. And if you'd want it before or after the family chart, then you'd add both those categories. So, and then Word can pull in that document, and it doesn't really matter how big it is or how small. It will just do it. And if you aren't sure, if you're new to using these media categories, what I'd recommend is download. There's a FBC categories 2017 FTMB. This is a family tree backup file. And all you have to do is download it, restore it, and then you can merge this. You can merge it into your existing tree, and it will bring in those custom media categories and fact types. And all that's in this tree is one person whose name is to be deleted. And that person has those custom fact types on them. So that's how it brings them in. And it's got one media item, and this is just a generic media item. But I assigned all those media categories to it. So that's how it brings it in. So once you bring it in, you can delete this picture, delete this person, but those media categories, and those fact types will remain in your tree. So that when you go back here and say, oh, okay, I want to assign a category, you know, I've got cemetery on it, but you know, if I'd want to say, I want that one to be bigger, you know, say, I want that one to be full width or something, you know, so it'll take up more space. You can do it there, so because I know I've helped numerous people say, well, where I did it, and while they manually typed in the thing, and well, they did a typo, because it has to be spelled exactly like this. And for these width categories, there are even more, because you can go anywhere from 10 to 100. 100 is the same as full width. But I mean, you can do 99% full width. You can do 10% full width. You could do 77% full width, you know, but in practicality, you're gonna only probably have maybe 3 or 4 of those width categories to play with. So
What's this called again?
the media categories,
You said it's a, how did you get to this again? You started it with it.
oh, this is under like the media details, and then the categories, you know, you can just click at it.
No, but you started us to go get this.
Oh, that was to get this this tree file, FBC categories 2017. It's a tree backup file, so you'll restore it, and that's this file right here. And I mean, you don't need to open it, but you do need to restore it because you can't merge a backup. Let me just close this. But yeah, so then on this tree, then yeah, all you do is do file merge. You select.
Dale, were you trying to figure out where he got it from?
Yeah, where you got, how do you
At the
get,
top of
where do you
Family Book
find this
Creator.
file and then
Yeah.
how do you get it
At the
brought
top,
in?
at the top of Family Book Creator. there's
Yeah,
a
and
thing called
Family Book
Files.
Creator, yeah. Click
So,
on files,
click on
and then it's in
Files.
here.
It's,
Okay,
Yeah,
but
It's
what-
on Facebook.
yeah, this is in the Facebook group. So,
well, what John failed to mention, at least I found very useful, a lot of the things that we as users trying to figure out, people have written up, like Rebecca Shanlon has done she's got some files out there. There's another fellow that's got files out there on how to merge relatives and things like that. So if you're trying to find out how to, somebody has already figured it out, go to the file tab under Family Book Creator and look at those items there. Some are text files that explain how to do things, and like John said, that is other ones are preloaded FBC categories that you can come
Yeah.
up with.
and
Okay.
Does
Does that make sense, guys?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it just saves a bunch of categories.
And the reason I brought that up, I found that the user's guide that Hans has written it's written from a point of view that you've been working with the product for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
And for me, I found that what's in the files is for people who've been kind of getting started
yeah,
between the tutorials and other things. And so that those files are really valuable to help you
yeah.
comprehend, help me comprehend anyway.
And the chat also mentioned that have like USA on a bunch of these files. Well, that's just the country, United States of America. And like I said, if you're doing a book and say most everything is all in one country, because usually when I print this in Family Tree Maker, what I'll do is under tools options. Let's see. Yeah, names, dates for under place options, you can have it basically suppress any one country. So I could just tell it to suppress USA. And then boom, they're gone. I mean, it's still there, you just don't see it. But the nice thing is then in the name index, and I wonder, well, let's just do this one. See, this one, they all start with like USA. But now if I'd run this book again, since I've in Family Tree Maker, since I got the USA suppressed, the USA will be suppressed in here. So then Indiana will be filed under I, Tennessee under T, Wisconsin under W, But any other countries, you know, like Canada, you know, okay, these are listed under those categories, but so that's one thing. If you want to, if you're all primarily one country, whether it's USA or maybe Australia, England, whatever, you know, you can have it suppress any one country. So, and that's just, you do that right from within Family Tree Maker. So, but generally in my day-to-day, I like to see it, you know, because that way it's like, I know the place is resolved and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's just me. So, some people keep it that way all the time, but that's just me. So, let's see here. Yeah, 1-inch fir was an oblong one, very attractive. Seems possibly workable. Okay, well, any other questions or anything else you got?
Yeah.
Or
Another general question. If I, let's say, create a book today,
yeah,
it's going to be based on Family Tree Maker today, my file.
yeah,
If a month from now I've made changes to Family Tree Maker, I come back to Family Book Creator, has it already picked up those changes, or do I have to regenerate in Family Book Creator?
You would regenerate the book and it will pull all the new information.
Okay, so you can set the book up basically,
Yeah,
and then wait to print it until you find a static point in time with the tree that
right.
you're comfortable.
Yeah, because like one book, the Hall side of my family, if you've seen any of my other videos, I'll probably work with that Hall side quite a bit. That's probably the one thing where, I mean, I generate that book at least 4 times a year because it's shared with all my cousins in Dropbox in a PDF file. And so they can always get the current information. And next summer, well, by the end of June next year, we're going to have another family reunion. And I'm actually going to plan on bringing like a dozen or so printed books, like from Lulu. So yeah, so I'm going to probably be really busy in May.
Yeah.
Getting everything, because everything in there is like, some stuff is like, I see it's like, okay, yeah, I got to clean up this, and you know, because these notes that, you know, isn't always they're rough notes, and so kind of make it more presentable. And some stuff is, there's like duplicate stuff in the person notes that's already in the book, and so I can remove that. And I don't know why I'm black and white, but I don't know.
You are colorful, John. Don't worry. It's
No.
okay.
Well, it's probably, let me turn on, yeah.
Is
Well,
there,
I hear some thunder, so it's a lot of clouds, so it got a lot darker in here, so, but
is there a size that you recommend for the book? I think where Dale and I are both kind of starting out, and we both have, 20,000 people out there that, at least for me, I don't spend a lot of time with the extra cousins. I'm kind of straight line. Is there, does it make sense to divide my husband and I so that, because of the length of the book? Is there a sweet spot?
well, I will tell you, if you're looking at getting it professionally published, like Lulu won't do a book more than 800 pages.
Okay.
So that's something that there are some I have seen, if you really look, that can go up to a little over 1,000, but most places are in like the 800, 820, So if it's over 800 pages, you definitely have to split it.
Can you divide it? One of the thoughts that I've had is just starting with those that have immigrated. So I'm thinking 1600 as opposed to going further back. I mean, is there a way in this to say, I only want to take it, even though I have more data further back, can I limit it to say 1600? Let's just use a hypothetical.
Oh, sure, because you can limit the number of generations.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
And
it-
can
it-
you do that with each one? I mean, like, can you say, okay, on the Smith side, I only want to go back 11 or is it across the board, everybody's 11 generations?
Well, each book you can specify it. So,
But it's all the people in that book.
yeah,
Yes,
well, because
Okay.
when you do it, say, okay, I'm doing ancestors, say, assuming you're starting from yourself, you can say, okay, I only want to go 12 generations, You can
Okay.
look and, okay, so for this book, maybe 12 generations, maybe the next one, the other side, well, maybe you might want to do 14 generations or 10 generations, whatever,
Mhm.
You can specify that. Because I know I'm also working on an ancestors, and I know I've got one line that goes clear back, and it's like I'm thinking, well, do I really want to print all that? And I'm thinking of limiting it to a certain point, but then adding to that person, maybe the pedigree chart that say, okay, yeah, this family line does go more, and
Mhm.
so I'm thinking of just including like a pedigree chart, and attaching to that person. And so that's where I'll stop at that line. And that would
Okay.
be a little bit more condensed format, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that sounds like a good approach. I know my brother-in-law is keen on seeing everything all the way back, and I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
just keep this simple.
And I mean, and you go back that far, it's like, maybe if there's someone with some royalty, you might have some stories about them.
Exactly, right.
But for the most part, you're going to have just basic formats. I mean, you might only know the year that they were born,
Mhm.
let alone birth dates, and if you get just, and I mean, the dates are important, but if that's all you got are the basic dates, it's kind of dry reading.
I agree. Mhm.
You want some pictures, you want some stories, stuff like that. Kansas, I've
I'm not-
conceptualized mine as the westward movement from Kentucky to Indiana. Lots happened, but it is a limit. Like 1796 in Virginia to Uncle Bernie's death in Vernon Township, Washington County, Indiana. Yep. So
Well,
yeah.
isn't it true? If you get back 1,000 years, some of it's, you don't necessarily have the same level of confidence that the information is what you think it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, because even on this rough draft of that ancestors book, it shows, oh yeah, the longest person, was this Anne, who lived to be 114 years old. And it's like, well, I don't think that's right, back in 16 or 1700s, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
there's a generation missing here, or what could also be, because I mean, there have been some definite age gaps, where, a 60-year-old guy married a young gal and had more kids. And, so it could be, yeah, maybe his second wife or maybe third wife was still named Anne, but it's a different Anne, it's, but yeah, that's just stuff I've got to research more and stuff. So,
Okay.
so
what John alluded to, I don't know if you picked that up, Sandra and Dale, is if you haven't gone through Family Book Creator, you're gonna go through 3 or 4 drafts.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Oh,
set it
yeah.
up, as you said, Dale, and then you're gonna print out a draft and this is da-da. And you're gonna be making corrections along the way through Family Tree Maker.
yeah,
And then you're gonna have an aha moment where it says, as Sandra said, I don't need to go back 14 generations. I can do 11. So this, you're gonna go through this evolution with
Yeah.
Family Book Creator. That's the best way to put it.
you're gonna find where to do it. And that's also why I recommend do as many changes in Family Tree Maker as possible. or by tweaking settings in Family Book Writer, because you are going to go over several revisions, and you don't want to have to keep making these same changes over and over and over. And when you start, don't worry about the media at first. Get like your sentence structures down fact, so it's wording right. And I mean, you're gonna maybe notice, if you were certain facts, like, well, something simple was like, I'll use the cause of death fact if I know how the person died. And before, when I entered it, I'd type in maybe, okay, this person died cancer, when I type in capital CANCER, stuff like that, or heart attack, capital H, blah, blah, blah. Well, when it comes down to when Family Book Writer puts it out, it'll say the cause of death was cancer with capital C. Okay. So I had to go through and make sure everything's all lowercase, just so it reads properly. And then certain things like the birth fact, maybe I might say, okay, I'd have the town, location, but then, if there's something special, like, okay, they were born at home, or, born at Uncle Fred's house, or, wherever, or, and some people, especially more recent ones, the time, the date, or, the time, the weight and how long they were, I'll enter in that. Well, I found out it's like, okay, it's going to print everyone's birth facts the same. And so how you enter in that information in the description field, you got to do it so it sounds right. Because otherwise, because some of the stuff, okay, it sounds really weird. And, so some stuff I'll put over into the fact note area and keep stuff in the description field, because it can't print, a birth fact for one person this way and, their brother a different way, So once you get that all done, then start adding in the media. And that's where I find it takes a long time, because it's like, okay, which media? Okay, maybe this media I don't need to print. And then okay, I want this one to be before this one, or I want this one bigger so I can read it, and stuff like that. So you can be doing a lot of image manipulation by, okay, manually rearranging. There's a section in the user guide on how the media is sorted and how you can manipulate that. So so that's well worth read. It's only like half a page or 3/4 of a page, I think. So, but yeah, it's like I've spent countless times doing that. And that first book I did for a friend, it's like, we literally probably spent 4 to 5 weeks just on the media, and then when it came to her second book, that we probably did in 2 weeks, because, okay, we kind of know, okay, look at this photo. It's like, okay, it's going to be about this size. And one neat trick I found is, because for my friend, we did 2 books and they were combo books, whereas the ancestors and descendants that went from both sets of her grandparents. Well, since it was on her side, they didn't really want, say, okay, so we're doing on our paternal side. Well, there's pictures of this main person where she was with her maternal cousins. Well, the paternal side really doesn't care about that, and vice versa. She had an ungodly amount of media, but so what I did is, like, any of those, like with cousins, I'd label them. I'd create a media category for, okay, this is a Stefford side, this is the Stossling side. And then so when I'm doing the Stefford book, I'd tell it, okay, ignore the Stofflings and vice versa, I'd tell it to omit it, and that's under the photo album section. Yeah, because that was under here, I always create a do not print. But then I would add in, well, this is on my side, so it's like, I've got Hall and Waller, those are the two sides of my mom's, and those are the two reunions I'm gonna have next summer, so I'll do that. But then I've also got the Fjellstead and then the Vossbender side, for both sets on my paternal side. Because it's like with my family, it's like doing these ones on my mom's side. Well, they're not gonna, yeah, they'd like to see pictures of my dad, but they're not necessarily gonna be interested in pictures of my dad with his siblings and cousins and stuff like that, so this way you can automatically exclude those. And so without having to flag a bunch of them as like, oh, don't print this, but then you go to the other side and then you got to go back and remove all those categories. And so it's, that was the biggest time saver I learned doing those $1. And it's like, so use the media categories to your advantage. It's like, I rarely use them in Family Tree Maker for, you can do it, but I really use them because of Family Book Creator. So, and like I said, and if you've got like pictures of like your great grandpa on your dad's side, I don't need to label those because those wouldn't be in the book on my mom's side and vice versa, so you really only have to worry about like with you and your cousins for labeling, for marking those categories and stuff. So but and like just don't forget to get the family stories in, because like I said, that's kind of what makes them enjoyable to read. And so any other questions, or just if you want to see something, or
This is helpful though. Thank you.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and we're always available in the Facebook group, and Stefan's good about answering stuff too. And yeah, and if there is ever anything, it's like, well, oh, I wish Family Book Creator could do this, and it's like, well, in the Facebook group, we might be able to tell you, well, here's a possible workaround or something. But if it's something it flat out won't do, it's like, well, just shoot an email to Stefan, and if there's enough people that ask for it, he'll add it. So because he's always working on it. So I know he is working on, but I don't know, he's been working on it for a while. But I know about where a picture is attached to multiple people, where sometimes you want it, there's a thing in Family Book Creator about like avoid duplicate right here, where so if a picture is attached to multiple, oh, I don't know, I'm not sharing my screen. But it's in the photo album area. Here we go. Yeah, right here, avoid duplicates in the photo album. So if that's checked, if a picture is attached to more than one person, it will only print with the first person that appears first in your book. So if you're doing a descendants book, you know, so if it's a picture with you and your parents, you know, saying maybe your siblings. If you're doing a descendants book, well, that picture is going to be with your parent. And then for anyone else that's tagged in it, it'll say, well, see this figure on this page, you know, and vice versa. And likewise, if you're doing an ancestors book, it's probably going to show up first with you and then your parents, you know. And sometimes, you know, if you're doing an ancestors, you know, you might rather have that picture with your parents rather than with you. And I know it's been asked for, you know, they like to specify which person it actually displays with. So I know that's something Stefan is working on. And that would be nice, because in some cases it's like I've had the only other way is to detach them from the person you don't want it on, or duplicate the photo and tell it, okay, don't print for this person, print for the, you know, so it prints with that one. And so it's kind of a clumsy workaround, but I know that is something Stefan is working on. When it gets implemented, who knows? It's like, it's just mind-boggling with all those settings, and it's like, you know, like I said, that's the best and worst feature all at the same time. And I know he's also he's also mentioned he's been thinking about a way of simplifying that, especially with those 3 sections with the primary, partner, and the 2 child sections, about kind of like linking them, you know, kind of put them in like an easy mode, or, you know, if you want to do an expert mode, so you want baptism fact print this way for your primary but different from your spouse, you can. I don't know, I haven't found a reason for it, you know. It's because, like, well, for me it's like it all depends upon what side of the book, you know, you print it on. Because if I do it from my dad's side, you know, it's can do this. If I do it from my mom's, well, they're reversed. So it's so that's why it's like, just be consistent the way you enter it. And like I said, the primary, partner, and the child no main section, you know, I've got them like identical, you know. So the child with main section, or yeah, with main section, you that's the section where they're listed, the children are listed elsewhere with their own families. Yeah, that you only want minimal information. So but so well, anything else? Still got some time left, or
Does it make sense to do one book for me, one book for my husband? And then is there the opportunity to merge those 2 books together to make one? I.e., let's say I want to give a book to my brother about our family. I want to give a book to my brother-in-law about that side of the family. But when we get to the kids, I'd like them to have the whole thing. Can you do that? Or is it you're just better off making 2 separate books?
well, really, if you've got it set up, you know, like I said, and using those media categories and stuff, so you get
Right.
it set up one way, it's really just as easy. Just create separate books for however you want.
Okay.
You could definitely do, you know, just do an ancestors book, say for your father's side, one for your mother's side, so those people can have it. But then you can take and combine those two exact books into one.
Okay.
So it's the same information. The only thing you'd have to worry about is like if you use the statistics function.
Mhm.
That's in the it's typically in the introduction, you know, and that's the thing that says that's just the thing that says, well, here, it's like, yeah, the document details, you know, how many individuals, like I said, this is a small one. You know, this is generated per book, you know, and so if you combine two books, well, then the statistics isn't accurate.
Got it. Mhm.
So you either wouldn't do it, or I have found if you do want to get an accurate one is you'd have to export your tree, you know, for whoever you want in it. So like the ancestors, and if you only go so many generations, we'll stop at that.
Mhm.
But you say do the ancestors for, you know, both your mom and dad. Export that as a tree, restore that, and then do in Family Book Creator, do a alphabetical family register, generate a book, because that will do it for everyone that's in that tree. And then that way the statistics would be that, but you know, it's a lot of work just for that one paragraph, because that's all you're going to take from that one book.
Sure. What about
But-
footnotes? How does this handle footnotes?
But no, well, they're entered in it is, say, if you are going to combine books, see footnotes, they're all embedded in the Word document itself. So the footnotes or endnotes all translate over, even if you merge the documents.
Well, I didn't mean about merging the documents. I just meant, how does it handle, you know, that you have this information on William McBee? And maybe you want to say it came from, you know, ABC book, and then, you know, the years came from XYZ book. How does it handle the footnotes, or does it?
Oh, well, yeah, well, here on source citations, you just say here, enter them as footnotes,
Oh, okay,
or enter them as endnotes.
okay,
And then before or at the end of
Right.
the document, or before bibliography, or you could embed them directly.
okay. But does it put like the little number and then say, okay, item 1, and let's say you put it at the end, it'll
Yeah,
say.
yeah, yes, it will do that, because let me, I've got an example. This one's a big book. Let's see here. This is a relative book. Oh, this might be under my do section here. Yeah, this is one I'm working with sister, but because let's see, let's see if this one. Oh no, this one we don't have. No, this one we did without the footnotes, which I know the final one is gonna have that. Well, this one, yeah, it's been a little while since I've done that. I wonder if it's in this one. No, we didn't do that on this one, but yeah, it does create the little indexes, and then like I said, you can have them as footnotes or endnotes.
Okay,
I usually do it as endnotes. if
yeah, I
do
agree.
it.
Make it easy.
Most of the books I do without source citations, because most of my family could care less, but I do have a couple cousins that do want to see them. So I'll do another one just for them, and then I'll do those as endnotes. So.
Mm. Yeah, I
So-
happen to have a daughter who's a publisher, so she's always like, well, where did you get this from?
Yeah, yep. So,
Okay, great, thank you.
and yeah, and that's just the things, you know, too, about the size and stuff like that, because that does
Mm.
definitely add some pages to it, you know, but
Great.
it just depends upon how tight your page count is, you know, and stuff like that. So, but
Great. This has been really helpful, John. Thank you.
yeah, no problem. So,
Really, really good. I think I'll bite the bullet and go for it.
yeah. Yeah, just do it. Just start small. Just get, do like 1 or 2 generations at a
Okay.
time.
Okay.
And sometimes they'll even tell someone like just maybe create a dummy person in your tree and then add every fact type that you typically use and enter data how you typically would enter it. And then you could run a report just for that one person. And then just make sure how the sentences all read, and then you can tweak them. And like I said, for one page, especially no media, you know, it's probably only gonna take 30 seconds to generate, you know, and
Mhm.
so you get instant feedback. So
Yeah, and another thing, when you buy, you can get a free trial first.
yeah, if you haven't, and yeah, and that does limit you to like 70 families.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, it's a good way to
Play around with it.
yeah, play around with it. So
Okay, good. Thank you.
so you know, any more questions or comments? Yeah, well, thanks for coming, and then well, we'll see you on in the Facebook group. So,
Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Okay.
John.
talk to you
Bye.
later. Yep, bye. And
Bye.
then this recording will be up later. So, okay, see ya.